Hello, everyone. Welcome to MICE Talk from Liberty International Tourism Group. I'm your host, Maximilian, COO of Liberty Group. In each episode, we will dive deep into the latest MICE industry trends, share insights from seasoned professionals, explore innovative event technologies, and showcase success stories that redefine the landscape of MICE. Today, we have with us Fernando Filet, our CEO of Liberty Brazil, and myself, as mentioned already. So hello, Fernando, and welcome to our podcast.
Hi, Max. I appreciate the invitation. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and especially it's a pleasure to talk about Brazil also, which is my country and the country that I love the most.
Perfect. Yet, unfortunately, I have not been in Brazil yet, but it is on my list. I promise, Fernando, I will come over very, very soon because I hear so many great stories about, and especially with you when we meet at trade shows and everything you're telling me. It's what people sometimes forget. It's such a huge country. Yeah, it's something not comparable to anything in Europe, and it's the largest country in South America with over 315 million people. Also something some key facts that not everybody knows. Yeah, also 4 different time zones. When I read this, I was like, yeah, this is something people don't have in mind right away. Yeah, but I don't want to say too much about Brazil. You are the big star today. How would you describe Brazil to somebody who has never been there, like me?
Yeah, well, you said a lot of many correct things about Brazil. It is a continental-sized country. I don't think people realize the size of it. 50% of South America is Brazil, and if you were to compare it to Europe, if you get all of Western Europe and you just exclude Russia from this, but all the Nordics and every single country in Europe, you could fit inside Brazil. So it's a huge country, and even if you get part of the western part of Russia, you could also fit inside Brazil. It's actually the 5th largest country in the world. It's just not bigger than the United States when you are considering Alaska as part of the US. Otherwise, Brazil would be the 4th largest country. So it's a continent. It's very difficult to say to you what is to suggest something, because it's like, imagine I'm talking to you about the whole of Europe. What do you suggest? Where should I go to? So it's a challenge. And it's a good challenge, an easy challenge, because we have so many beautiful places in Brazil, from the Amazon rainforest to the swamp area of Pantanal to the northeast beaches in Bahia, in Ceará, to the south of Rio Grande do Sul. It's a continent. It's a beautiful country, very, very diverse. We have parts of Brazil which is above the equator, and parts of Brazil that is in between the equator and the Tropic of Capricorn, and also parts which is in the south. So it's a huge country, and I'm very passionate about it. So I'm always trying. Yeah.
That's also the reason why you are a CEO of Liberty Brazil DMC. It's also a new role you jumped in. You since when are you with Liberty?
Well, I started with Liberty as a sales rep 10 years ago. So this is my 10th year with Liberty. But I have also been doing incoming in Brazil for over 17 years. Actually, for over 18 years, I have been doing incoming, and I used to be a supplier for Liberty here in Brazil. And this year, I was very happy when Mario invited me to take over the role of the CEO of Liberty. And it's a challenge, but it's a challenge that I'm very enthusiastic about it.
Yes, and I think our clients feel that as well, that come to Brazil, Fernando will take care of, and your team. So this is beautiful. One of the Also at quiz shows, this is, I think, one of the most interesting questions. What is the capital city of Brazil? And I think maybe not everybody knows it, but yeah, what is the capital city of Brazil?
Well, the capital city of Brazil is a city called Brasilia, which is in the middle of the country. But the Brazilians, we consider like São Paulo to be the financial capital. Brasilia is the political capital, is where all the administration is located. But São Paulo is where all the money is located. Just to give you an idea, Max, in Brazil, we have more than 5,000 cities. We have 5,430 something cities in Brazil. And we have a population of 210 million people that live in Brazil. One city in this universe of 5,430 something cities, which is a city called São Paulo, is concentrating more than 10% of the Brazilian population. So you have a huge concentration of the population in one city, and basically the main reason why people are living in São Paulo is because that's where the money is. São Paulo as a city is today concentrating 15% of the Brazilian GDP, and the state of São Paulo is the name of a city, and São Paulo is also the name of a state. So there's only two cases in Brazil where the state has the same name as the capital city, which is São Paulo.
I mean, I hope there's no quiz afterwards. I feel like in high school, yeah. But this is, I mean, it's unbelievable numbers and super interesting, and it shows the potential. And now, because we are in the tourism, the podcast is also about mice. So imagine, I'm a client. I want to do an incentive in Brazil. So where would you send them? What would you recommend them?
Well, there's again so many places, but let's try to answer your question. We have been doing quite a lot of incentives here, which we are combining Rio de Janeiro and Iguaçu Falls. Usually for incentives, the clients, they don't have really too many days. So it's actually shorter than a leisure trip. But I think São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and Iguaçu Falls is a wonderful combination. Rio de Janeiro is, in my opinion, and I know I'm very biased when I speak about Brazil because there's always a lot of love involved in that. But I really think Rio de Janeiro is one of the 5 most beautiful cities in the world. It's amazing, the landscape, the mountains, the ocean. And also it's a big and an important city here in Brazil. So a lot of history also, because before Brasilia, Rio de Janeiro used to be the capital of Brazil. And Rio de Janeiro, very few people know this, but Rio de Janeiro was in a certain time in history the capital of not only Brazil but also of Portugal. So it was the only European capital outside Europe.
Wow. I mean, that's also the historical part, that you speak Portuguese, right, in Brazil, which is the exception in South America.
Exactly, because we were the only ones colonized by Portugal. And during the Napoleonic Wars, when the Portuguese king, escaping from Napoleon, moved to Brazil and moved to Rio de Janeiro, then he made the capital of Portugal also in Rio de Janeiro. He changed from Lisbon to Rio. But despite all these historical and interesting facts you have here in Rio, Rio is also an amazing and a beautiful city with landscape and ocean and so many things to do here. And then when you combine it with Iguaçu Falls, Iguaçu is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. And I know a lot of people, they always talk about Niagara Falls, but with all respect I have to Niagara Falls, when you come to Iguaçu Falls, Niagara Falls is small. And so I think it's a nice combination to do so. And São Paulo, because usually the business is there, so most of the planes are arriving in São Paulo, and usually in incentive trip there's always something related to business. There's some visits that one has to do. So São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and Iguaçu is really a nice combination for a mice group.
Yeah, that sounds really. Are there certain trends you see from the last years, and since you're doing incoming since 18 years, what trends do you see right now that are new or special? Are there any specific trends?
Well,
When it's
I
about
wouldn't.
mice?
Well, more in league. Can I? Are we only talking
Yeah,
about mice or also about leisure?
as you wish, as you wish. It's very smooth. Yeah,
What
so
I start to realize, Max, that people are discovering Brazil and places that they were not usually so familiar with. So, for example, of course, in Brazil, everyone knows the Pantanal is a swamp area in the west part of the country where you can see the jaguar and you can see
Mhm,
a lot of wild animals there living on their
mhm,
ambience. I remember once I was there, going there to see it's a swamp area. So you go there and on the dry season, it's quite easy to spot the jaguar because they go for
mhm.
the water. And then it's easier to spot them on the dry season. But I remember going there and we do a lot of tours there. And one of the tours was the horseback riding. And
Mm.
because it's a swamp, sometimes the horses were walking and the water would go to all the way to the belly. And I was sitting on top of the horse. Then there were thousands of alligators, the caimans on the
Oh.
water. And I asked the guide, like, isn't this dangerous? Because if the caiman wants to bite my foot, he will do it in a second. And said, no, there's a mutual respect between horse and caimans. So the horse will
Oh,
not step on the caiman, and the caiman will not bite the horse. So they kind of respect each other. But it was
that's amazing.
scary, but it was
Hmm.
also a very amazing experience to see the macaws, the jaguars. That is a trend. And there's another place that I think foreigners are finally discovering, which is called Lençóis Maranhenses, which is very popular in Brazil. But it's like it's going to the Sahara Desert. You have all these sand dunes, and then you have thousands and thousands of water ponds
Hmm.
created by the rain, which is a unbelievable scenery. If
Hmm.
one have the chance to do a research on Lençóis Maranhenses, that's one of those breathtaking scenes that you have to go there. It's very difficult to imagine how beautiful it is.
Yeah, I mean, this is our goal, that we create unique experiences for our clients. And the more I listen to you, the sooner I will book my flight to Brazil. I mean, sounds so fascinating. And yeah, because Brazil is so huge, you can offer so much. You're correct. Yeah. So this is when it's a little bit more for our clients. So what about hotels in Brazil, the infrastructure? Can you tell us a
Yeah,
little bit more about that?
we have a huge number of hotels in São Paulo, Rio, all over 5-star, 4-star, 3-star. All the main international chains are here in Brazil. It's very difficult to pick up one, but just to give you an example, in São Paulo, there is a hotel which I really like. It's very well located. It's called the Tivoli Monfarrege. It's a wonderful hotel in terms of location. You are 1 block away from the main avenue, which is the Paulista Avenue, and then you have a rooftop where they serve you breakfast there, and also it's a restaurant, dinner and lunch. Are also served there, and you have the whole view of São Paulo, which is it's really it's an ocean of buildings, and
Mhm.
once you are there, the buildings, they just keep going as far as the eye can see. And because the Tivoli is also located in one of the highest parts of the city, you
Mhm.
have a wonderful view from there. The rooms are nice.
On your next trip to Brazil, visit the Tivoli Monfarrege São Paulo Hotel. Located in the cosmopolitan city of São Paulo and a member of the leading hotels of the world, Tivoli Monfarrege is ready to welcome you, whether for business, event or leisure. At Tivoli, you enjoy all the comforts of a 5-star hotel and the cuisine of the Scene restaurant, enjoying the view of the wonderful São Paulo skyline, as well as relaxing with exclusive treatments at the award-winning Anantara Spa. Visit TivoliHotels.com and make your reservation.
Okay. And I mean, one challenge I heard in the past is the traffic. So, what would you recommend here for our clients? You know, traffic is and in big cities, and if we talk about the size like Rio and Sao Paulo, what you told us. So, how are you handling that?
Well, traffic is an issue. You know, we are at the end of the day we are talking about São Paulo is in the metropolitan area. We are talking about more than 20 million people living, and in Rio we talk about more than 6 million people living. I know that a lot of European countries they do not have the population that São Paulo has, so there is an issue with traffic. But it's funny that sometimes we do very fun things. I remember recently we had the German sellers, and then they arrived at the airport in São Paulo, and actually they were actually staying at the Tivoli, which is the hotel that I just mentioned.
Super.
And it was 80 altogether, and we took them from the international airport to the hotel by helicopter. So we had shifts of helicopter. We had like 6 helicopters going back and forth and moving these 80 guys from. So it was already way when they started. It was a surprise. They were not aware of that. Of course, for those who were scared of flying, we still provided the transport on roads. But I don't remember anyone declining. They all went, and it was such a wow and an impactful first arrival that you were picked up by a helicopter from the airport and transferred to the hotel, which was a nice way to start this program.
Yes, yeah, again, a unique experience, make our clients happy. This is the goal we have. And yeah, so no, fantastic. It's so interesting. And I mean, what Liberty is always trying to focus and more is to give every incentive, every event a sustainable touch. Is there something when we talk about sustainability, what you are trying to do with our clients together?
Of course, this is an issue that is important all over the world. But you know, Max, I'm very proud when it comes to sustainability because Brazil is a very clean country on its forms of energy. I don't know if you are aware of that, but 70% of the electricity produced in Brazil is coming from hydropower plants, which is a clean source of energy. And I also don't know if people are aware, but in Brazil, we have more than 80% of the vehicles that are not running on gasoline. They are running on ethanol. Ethanol is a clean and it's a renewable source of energy. So we are even trying to use the buses that we are either electric or running on ethanol. So this is a topic here that is always very important for us, and it's always important to make sure that we are not creating a huge impact, a negative impact, and in nature
and then supporting the local communities. Yeah, that makes fully sense. Yeah, perfect. A little bit about the things for sure our clients are interested in. The carnival, right? In Brazil, every year there's the carnival period, the biggest carnival in the world, and also it attracts a lot of clients and customers. So what can you tell us about the carnival?
Max, it's such a wonderful and a wow experience. It's difficult to put in words. You know, you have to come and experience it for yourself. It is the biggest human party in the world. It's hundreds of thousands of people that gather, and then there's so many different ways of celebrating because people you often think about the carnival as going to the parade and seeing the parade where the samba schools, the teams are performing there, and they are being judged, and people buy tickets, and you buy it's unbelievable. Usually each team, we call them schools in Brazil, but each let's say it's a team, they have more or less from 3,000 to 5,000 members participating in the parades. So the amount of work involved to do the costumes, to do the cars, to do all the allegories, it takes a whole year of thousands of people to work to build this for one evening, or actually 2 evenings here in Rio. Wow. It's a highlight. It's very difficult to put in words, but we have groups from all over the world that come year after year, because this is one of the things that I usually see. There's certain things, Max, one cannot leave the world without seeing, you know. If you go to Kenya, I don't think you can leave the world without seeing the migration in Kenya. I think you cannot leave the world without seeing, the China Wall, the Great Wall. And Carnival is definitely one of the experiences that it's so unique and so emblematic that it's worth every cent you spend on this to see, because it's an unforgettable experience.
Yeah, I'm really, this is something also when I see the pictures and the music and and I'm just checking the date. So next year it's end of February, beginning of March. So something our clients can look into if they're able to take this chance. No,
Carnival,
actually don't.
Actually, Carnival is a religious party. So Brazil is the biggest Catholic nation in the world. 70% of the Brazilians are Catholic. And the reason why they celebrate Carnival has to do with Sunday Eastern. So it's the 40 days before Sunday Eastern that people stay on Lent. The theory, it's like it's always, and Eastern, you always calculate it according to the moon. So every time you have Sunday Eastern, 40 days before, you have Wednesday Ashes, which is the last, in theory, it was the last day that you could party hard, and then you would have to clean up 40 days, not eating meats, not eating this or that, to clean up for Sunday Eastern. But of course, people are nowadays, they don't respect this tradition so much. So they just keep partying all year round. But in theory, it's a religious carnival celebration.
Okay, now super, very interesting to know. I was not aware of. So thank you for the info. And it's happening in whole Brazil, right? In all cities. Is there some city where you say this should be is like the capital of Carnival, or what do you think about that?
For the samba drum, like these huge parades, you have in São Paulo and in Rio, which are the most famous ones. Rio, of course, is even more famous than São Paulo, but São Paulo, the parade is really beautiful there also. And then in other places, they celebrate it in different ways. You don't have like a parade going on the samba drum, but it's more like street carnival. And in Salvador, it's a place, it's very interesting to see the carnival there, but basically all over Brazil, anywhere you go, people are celebrating.
Super, no, very nice. So when it's about climate, so what are high seasons, low seasons for clients to come to Brazil? Weather, what do you recommend? I mean, since it's a huge country, most probably you can come the whole year, but maybe there's some high and lower seasons.
Yeah, we are in the South Hemisphere, so our seasons are working exactly opposite to you guys in Europe. So whenever it's your summer, it's our winter. I usually think that all the seasons you can come to Brazil. We don't really have cold weather here. We never have temperatures below zero, or in São Paulo, for example, it's very rare that you get temperatures below 10 Celsius at night. In Rio, you can easily stay the whole year, and the temperature, even day or night, will never go below 20. But if I were the thing is, in the summer, which is your winter, so meaning end of the year, beginning of the December, January, February, This is usually our wet season here. So
Mm-hmm.
when it's the time we have more rain in Brazil, it's usually December, January, February, and March. And then we start to have the dry season, June, July. So if you want to avoid the wet season, it's better to come in our winter, which is never so cold. And then at least you don't have so much rain.
Okay, super. Okay, makes sense. And about food and traditions. So if I have never been to Brazil and you would like to bring me to a restaurant or food, where would you bring me, or what would I eat?
It's what do you want to eat? Because
The Brazilian traditional
yeah,
things. Yeah.
but what you have to understand, Max, is that Brazil, end of the day, we are a country of immigrants. So the only native, genuine Brazilian, or can say I'm 100% Brazilian, were the indigenous people that were here before the Europeans arrived. After, we had the immigrations from Portugal, from all over Europe, from Africa, from Asia. So just to give you an example, for example, a city like São Paulo, which is the biggest city, it is the largest Japanese city outside Japan. We have in the state of São Paulo almost 1 million people that were from a Japanese backgrounds. São Paulo is the second largest Italian city outside Italy. Only New York has more Italians than São Paulo. São Paulo has the third largest German community outside Germany. And we say that we have more Lebanese living in São Paulo than in Lebanon. Why am I telling you this? The reason I'm telling you this is because this gives you an idea of all the gastronomical influences we had from all over the world. So it's we have so many excellent sushi, Japanese restaurants. I say to the Italians, and of course I say in a funny way, but I really mean it, that we have better pizza in São Paulo than they have in Italy.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Okay.
Our beef here is amazing. You know, Brazil is very famous for the barbecue, but with more than 8,000 kilometers of coast, you can imagine how much seafood we have, and how much it's easy to get all the and the influences that we had from Italians, from Portuguese, from Spanish, from Lebanese, from Asians, which contributed to our gastronomy. So it's easy and the best, Max. When you compare it to Europe, it's a relatively cheap place to eat. You have to come. You have to come.
Yes, I'm parallel booking my flight already, so no problem. No, but this is really, I mean, it's a lot of information and so interesting. I mean, we are slowly coming to the end, but also what is important, how does it look for visa issues for clients to come to Brazil?
Brazil usually adopts what we call a reciprocity policy. Do you know what this means, a reciprocity policy?
I think so, but maybe you can explain it. Yes.
Basically, the reciprocity policy here is basically that if a country demands visa from us, we also demand visa from them. But it has changed a little bit because, for example, for the US, it's Brazilians are required the visa to go to the US. But since the US is such an important market for us, they dropped out this requirement for American. And the president now is trying to put it back, but he realizes that it's not worth to put it back because
economically,
end of the day, it doesn't make sense. Americans who come to Brazil, they're not coming here to move, and to establish themselves here. They just want to come.
One of the last questions I have. So, what currencies do you recommend our clients? Is it dollar? And do you accept euro? How does it look?
Yeah, dollar and euro are accepted, but I don't recommend you to use dollar and euro here because then they're always going to do an exchange rate which is not favorable for you if they do accept that in the store. So when you go to the airport or any exchange places here, dollar, euro, change it into Brazilian reais, and then you're good to go. You have a better exchange rate. Actually, to give you an idea, the dollar today is $1 you get 5 Brazilian reais, and 1 euro you get about 5.5 Brazilian reais. That's pretty much the exchange. So it's relatively cheap here. I was with a lot of our colleagues in Brazil. We were going to really nice beef restaurants, and the guys were eating like these wonderful steaks, and at the end of the meal it would come like less than 10 euros. The guys were, what's this? Something's wrong here. No, it's correct. It's if you know where to go, you can. It's a relatively cheap country compared to Europe.
Super. Okay. No, Fernando, thank you very much. I mean, I know we could talk for hours and more, and yes, it's audio. I think the best thing is go to Brazil, experience it yourself with Fernando and his team. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening to our MICE talk from Liberty International Tourism Group. Catch you in our next episode.